Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of FCW Superstar Spotlight. In this episode, I'm going to be covering none other than Mr. Antonio Cesaro. Now, the first thing that I want to say about Cesaro is that even though his name in the WWE is Antonio Cesaro, most people know him as Claudio Castagnoli. That's very European Claudio Castagnoli, of course. And Claudio has been wrestling since 2000. Not 2000 and just 2000. It's been that long. He's been wrestling for 12 years now. He's very talented. He started in Europe, of course. Like I said, his gimmick was, for the longest time, it was very European. He basically, like I said, 2000 to 2004, he's just basically worked around in the indies around Europe. 2003 to 2006, he had a run in Chikara as a tag team with Chris Hero, as well as Eric Cannon and Aries in the Kings of Wrestling, basically. And then 2007 was really when he started to make a name for himself as a solo competitor in Chikara. He's been working with ROH, PWG, Chikara, Pro Wrestling Noah, CZW. He has been everywhere. This is a guy that if you don't know about him by now, you should be disappointed in yourself because he is too good to not know about. Just a little bit more background information. I personally really got to know Claudio during his run with Chris Hero in the Kings of Wrestling in ROH. That was 2009 through 2011 when they left the company. I thoroughly enjoyed their work. Think that they were really the main reason that ROH got a real reputation for having a great tag team division. And really, their tag team title reign was one of the best in recent memory, if for no other reason, just because of how long it was. It was nearly 1 year. They did get dethroned by the, in my opinion, significantly less entertaining Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team, but I digress. It was still a great run while it lasted. When Cesaro got to FCW, he did not, and I will repeat that, he did not win any FCW titles. He didn't get any FCW 15 championships like my two prior FCW Superstar Spotlights have been spotlighted on, but he was very successful. He put on some great matches. His most recent match was on the April 8th tapings for FCW against Richie Steamboat, and I absolutely implore you to go check that match out. It was for the FCW 15 championship, but it was a 20-minute Iron Man rules match. Great match. These guys can work so well together. Claudio Castagnoli, great talent. I do think that he has more upside, and I mean that by far, than Richie Steamboat. But if you want my thoughts on Richie Steamboat, go back. Episode 1 of FCW Superstar Spotlight was spotlighting none other than Ricky Steamboat's son himself, Richie. But back to Claudio Castagnoli, a.k.a. Antonio Cesaro. I do want to get into my ratings. My ratings that I give each superstar that I spotlight from FCW. Those ratings being charisma, psychology, intensity, appearance, and in-ring technical ability. Claudio, well, you know what? I'm going to stop calling him Claudio now because his WWE name is Antonio Cesaro. I'm digging the rugby gimmick because it's more than most guys that come out of FCW get as far as gimmicks go. So, Antonio Cesaro, rugby player from Switzerland. Highest ratings that I've ever given anybody. I know it's only been 3 episodes, but it's still... I think a lot of this guy. I think that he has main event potential. I think that he has long-term main event potential. He's only 31 years old. So here we go. Charisma. Antonio Cesaro, 8.5. And the reason I say that is because he can captivate an audience. He can hold your attention. He can make you want to hear what he has to say. He doesn't speak perfect English, but I honestly think that that might be a pro rather than a con, because it makes you listen to what he's saying more specifically so that you can kind of catch the little specifics. He's basically, when he speaks, you can understand what he's saying, but like I said, it's not that perfect English dialect because he is born naturally not from America or England or anything like that. So, great talker. He has an aura about him. He has that X factor that everyone always talks about when they're talking about grading WWE superstars. And I do think he has that. Psychology, 9. This guy knows how to work a match. He's been doing it since 2000. He knows what he's doing in that ring. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to keep the audience involved. And most importantly, he knows how to create a payoff during a match. I think that's a very overlooked aspect of in-ring work, and Claudio Antonio knows how to do it. Intensity. This is the lowest grade that I'm giving Antonio Cesaro, simply because I feel like he isn't all that intense. And honestly, I don't know if he needs to be, just because he has so much other great stuff going on for him. He has a lot of great aspects going on for him. Intensity might not be a necessity here, but I will give him a 7.5, because when he needs to be intense, when he needs to be angry, he has proven in the past, obviously not in WWE yet, but in the past, in other promotions, that he can be angry, he can be a heel, he can be intense. 7.5 for intensity. Appearance. Do I really need to say that much? Look at the guy. 6'5", 240 pounds. He has a great look going for him. The only reason I'm not going to give him a 10 in appearance is because he could go to put on some more muscle mass. He's a little bit scrawny. And I'm not saying he's scrawny, like legitimately scrawny. I'm just saying that he isn't Batista as far as build goes, if you know what I'm saying. He's not Triple H, you know? He's not that big, bulky, looks like he could punch a hole through a wall kind of guy. He just looks like he could kick your head off, which is, I mean, in my opinion, is better, but as far as WWE goes, maybe not as good. Appearance, 9.5. I'm going to take that half point off just because he could go to put on some more muscle mass. Let's move on. Technical. In-ring technical ability. This guy is great. I'm not going to say he's the best. I'm not going to say that, you know, he's better than anyone else in FCW even. He's not the best in-ring technical worker in FCW, which automatically means he won't be that guy in WWE either. But I will give him a very solid 8 in the in-ring technical aspect, just because he does know what he's doing. Like I said, been doing it since 2000. Great potential. I really hope that they continue pushing him, continue having him win these matches, and ideally against guys that are actually on the roster, as opposed to what they're doing with Ryback, just throwing him out there against local jobbers every week to get him over as a killer. I don't want to see Antonio Cesaro build as a killer, because he's not. I want to see him build as a legit fighter. I want to see him build basically as kind of what Brock Lesnar was billed as back in 2002, but without the gigantic, he doesn't have a neck, he's so gigantic kind of build. Give him a legitimacy. Give him almost like a combination of that 2002 Brock Lesnar with Wade Barrett, because Wade Barrett kind of has that bare knuckle fighter, I'm gonna tear you limb by limb kind of aspect about him, and I feel like they can do that with Antonio Cesaro, but better, because I do think that Cesaro would be able to pull it off better. I'll talk about Wade Barrett another time, though, not right now. This is all about Antonio. Great main event potential. I look forward to seeing what this guy brings to the WWE. I hope they use him right. He is 31, so he isn't necessarily a super young guy. He is Randy Orton's age, and to put it in perspective, Randy Orton's been in the WWE since, I believe, 2002. So Cesaro does have quite the uphill battle, but with his talent, his potential, there's no doubt in my mind that he will reach the top of that mountain. This is the end of my third episode of the FCW Superstar Spotlight. If you want my opinion on guys like Richie Steamboat, and of course, the recently debuted and soon to in-ring debut Damian Sandow, check out episodes 1 and 2 of the FCW Superstar Spotlight. Next episode, I'm going to be covering Dean Ambrose, my personal favorite FCW superstar, and I really hope they debut him on TV soon, ideally against Mick Foley. This is Ian Izzle, signing out.